Have you ever walked into a crowded room, felt the buzz of countless conversations swirling in the air, and instantly wished you could vanish? It's not just discomfort, it's a deeper ache. A knowing sense that no matter how familiar the faces or how warm the smiles, something feels profoundly off. We're told humans are social creatures, that connection is the cornerstone of happiness. Yet for many, the prospect of socializing feels less like nourishment and more like a drain, a slow siphoning of energy and peace. Is there something wrong with you? Or could it be that the modern world's version of connection isn't designed for everyone? If you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. There's a deeper story at play here, one that reflects your personality, your experiences, and your needs. These reasons aren't flaws, they're facets of who you are. Let's explore 5 common reasons why you might prefer solitude, and how understanding them can help you honor yourself without apology. And welcome back to Daily Stoic Practice, your compass to navigate the complexities of modern life with ancient wisdom. The first reason may sound obvious, but it's also the most undeniable. Sometimes, the discomfort you feel in social settings isn't about socializing itself, but about the people you're spending time with. You know the types. The energy vampires who drain you with every interaction, the drama queens who thrive on chaos and draw you into their storms, or the individuals who monopolize conversations without any consideration for others. Then there are those who mask their criticisms as jokes or deliver compliments laced with hidden barbs. Their presence turns what could be pleasant social exchanges into sessions of emotional labor. Imagine this. You're sitting across from someone who's been talking non-stop for the past hour, recounting every detail of their latest drama without once pausing to ask how you're doing. Or worse, you're enduring a conversation with someone whose kind words leave you feeling more insecure than supported. These interactions don't feel like connection. They feel like work. And not the fulfilling kind of work, but the draining, soul-sapping kind that leaves you questioning why you even bothered showing up. Even well-meaning friends can sometimes miss the mark. Take, for example, the buddy who insists on dragging you to loud, crowded bars when you'd much prefer a quiet coffee shop where you can actually hear each other talk. Or the coworker who relentlessly pressures you to join happy hours after work, even when all you want is to head home, curl up on the couch, and recharge. While their intentions might be good, these mismatched social experiences can start to feel like a chore over time. When socializing consistently leaves you feeling out of sync with your true preferences, it's natural to start associating these moments with discomfort rather than joy. This doesn't mean you're antisocial or that you've given up on human connection. Quite the opposite. Choosing solitude in these moments is not a rejection of people. It's an act of self-care. It's about recognizing when certain interactions are costing you more than they're giving and having the courage to prioritize your well-being. It's about curating your social circle with intention and seeking out the rare kindred spirits who truly understand and align with your values, energy, and needs. Think of your energy as a limited resource. Would you willingly waste your most valuable currency on people who leave you drained, frustrated, or unseen? Life is too short to spend your time with the wrong people. Instead, it's worth investing in those who uplift you, those with whom conversations feel natural and mutual. These are the people who listen as much as they talk, who respect your boundaries, and who leave you feeling energized, not depleted, after spending time together. In curating this kind of circle, you might find that you spend less time with people overall, but the time you do spend becomes infinitely richer. you'll begin to realize that socializing isn't inherently exhausting. It's a mismatched company that makes it so. With the right people, even simple activities like a walk in the park or a quiet meal can feel fulfilling. These moments remind you why human connection matters in the first place. So, the next time you feel tempted to say yes to a gathering out of obligation, pause and ask yourself, is this going to nourish me or is it going to drain me? Does spending time with this person add joy to my life or does it take away from it? It's not selfish to ask these questions. It's essential. Because by protecting your energy and being selective about your social interactions, you're not only prioritizing your own happiness, but also creating space to show up as your best self for the relationships that truly matter. In the end, choosing solitude over the wrong company isn't about isolation. It's about discernment. It's about honoring your own needs and building a life filled with people who genuinely respect and support you. So take a moment to reflect on the relationships in your life. Are they helping you grow, or are they holding you back? Are they inspiring you, or are they draining you? These aren't easy questions to answer, but they're necessary ones. Remember, it's not about rejecting others. It's about embracing yourself. And when you do that, you'll naturally attract the kind of connections that make socializing feel like a joy rather than a burden. Because ultimately, life is too precious to waste your energy on anyone who doesn't make your heart feel lighter. For introverts, solitude isn't loneliness, it's liberation. It's the rare, sacred time when your mind can stretch, reflect, and create without interruption. In solitude, you find a sense of freedom, an oasis where you're not obligated to perform or meet external expectations. This is where you feel most alive, where your thoughts can unfold without the pressure to explain or justify them to anyone else. Yet modern social life often feels like an assault on this inner sanctuary. The world is fast-paced, loud, and relentless, prioritizing constant engagement over intentional connection. Small talk dominates interactions, shallow exchanges that skip across the surface, while your mind craves depth. You're expected to smile, nod, and keep conversations flowing, even when every ounce of your internal energy feels drained. It's a performance that can feel exhausting, a relentless demand that pushes you further away from your natural rhythm. For introverts, social interactions often feel transactional. You're handing over your energy, often in significant amounts, but for what? Polite smiles? Awkward silences filled with obligatory words? Fleeting connections that vanish as quickly as they appear? The cost rarely feels worth the reward. It's not that you don't value relationships, far from it. In fact, your desire for connection runs deep. You crave the kind of meaningful interactions that leave you feeling seen, understood, and valued. But in a world designed for extroverts, where outgoing, sociable personalities are praised as the ideal, you're often left feeling like you don't belong. Imagine walking into a room filled with noise and movement. Everyone seems to navigate it effortlessly, thriving in the chaos of overlapping conversations and clinking glasses. But you, as an introvert, don't thrive there. You observe, process, and feel overstimulated by the constant barrage of sensory input. While others might gain energy from these moments, you feel you're slipping away. It's not because you're antisocial or unwilling to connect. It's because the environment is misaligned with your nature. When you choose to retreat, it's not about rejecting people or shirking your social responsibilities. It's about self-preservation. Solitude isn't just a preference for introverts. It's a lifeline. It's the space where you recharge, regain clarity, and nurture your inner world. And if others misinterpret this as antisocial behavior, let them. Their misunderstanding doesn't diminish the truth. Choosing solitude isn't about avoiding people, it's about honoring your authentic self. For introverts, the quality of relationships matters far more than the quantity. You're not interested in collecting acquaintances or maintaining surface-level bonds. Instead, you seek those rare, profound connections that bring a sense of harmony and belonging. These connections aren't easy to come by, but when they do, they make the occasional effort of socializing truly worth it. In a society that often prioritizes breadth over depth, introverts walk a different path. You're not trying to fit into every room or adapt to every situation. Instead, you're carving out a life that resonates with your values, your energy, and your need for intentionality. Solitude is a tool for self-discovery, reflection, and growth. It's not about isolating yourself. It's about creating space for what matters most. So the next time someone questions your need for solitude, don't feel the need to explain or apologize. Remember that solitude isn't a weakness or a flaw, it's a strength. It's a practice of self-awareness and self-care that allows you to engage with the world on your own terms. And in doing so, you're not just staying true to yourself, you're giving your best to the connections that truly matter. Trust is one of the most fragile yet vital components of human connection. It's a delicate thread, carefully woven over time, but when it breaks, the damage can ripple far beyond the initial betrayal. A friend who turned their back on you, a partner who didn't keep their promises, or even a family member who shattered the foundation of your relationship. Each of these wounds leaves scars that shape the way you view not just others, but yourself. You may start to question your judgment, replaying moments in your mind, wondering how you missed the signs or whether you're to blame. The fallout from broken trust isn't just painful, it's transformative. It reshapes your entire approach to relationships. Vulnerability, once a beautiful gateway to connection, now feels like a risk too great to take. Every interaction begins to feel like a gamble, with your emotional well-being on the line. The stakes are no longer just about awkward moments or misunderstandings. They're about protecting yourself from the kind of pain you've already endured. And who could blame you for being cautious? Experience has taught you a harsh but important lesson. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. This isn't paranoia, it's survival. When trust has been broken, your instincts evolve to shield you from further harm. You become more attuned to subtle red flags, like an over-promising friend who always falls short, or a romantic partner whose words don't match their actions. Your heart, once open and eager to connect, now operates under stricter conditions. This isn't because you've stopped caring about people, quite the opposite. Deep down, you still crave connection, still yearn for the safety of being truly seen and understood. But now, you approach relationships differently, with caution, discernment, and a resolve to protect yourself from further harm. Distance becomes your shield. You keep people at arm's length, not because you've given up on relationships, but because you're determined to only let the right ones in. Trust, after all, is no longer something you give freely. It's something that must be earned over time through actions, consistency, and respect. In a way, this shift can be empowering. It reminds you that your heart is worth protecting and that not everyone deserves to be a part of your inner world. Still, the longing for connection never fully disappears. You might find yourself scanning the horizon, searching for small signs that someone is trustworthy. It could be a friend who remembers the little things about you, a partner who consistently shows up, or a stranger who offers an unexpected act of kindness. These moments can feel like faint glimmers of hope, like cracks in the walls you've built to protect yourself. Slowly, they remind you that not everyone is out to hurt you. But healing from broken trust is a process. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's not linear. There will be setbacks, moments of doubt, and times when your walls feel higher than ever. Rebuilding trust starts with small, deliberate steps. It's about allowing yourself to believe in the possibility of goodness again, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Shared laughter, meaningful conversations, and acts of care can begin to chip away at the fortress you've built. Trust isn't about diving headfirst. It's about testing the waters one step at a time, seeing how it feels to let someone in a little further each day. And it's okay if you're not ready yet. Prioritizing your self-preservation is not selfish. It's necessary. You've been through enough to know that your emotional well-being isn't something to be gambled with lightly. It's okay to take your time, to set boundaries, and to remain selective. Those who truly care about you will understand and respect your need for caution. They won't rush you or demand your trust. They'll earn it. Trust is a gift, one that should be given with care. It's not about building impenetrable walls or living in isolation. It's about creating a filter, letting the right people in while keeping the wrong ones out. Over time, you may find yourself opening up again, one small act of faith at a time. And when you do, the connections you form will be stronger, deeper, and more fulfilling than ever before. Because trust that's been rebuilt is often the strongest of all. It's trust forged through fire, tempered by resilience, and rooted in the understanding that you are worth protecting. Sometimes, the hesitation to socialize has little to do with the people around you and everything to do with the voice inside your head. That inner critic, the one that whispers, "You're not good enough. You're not interesting enough. Why would anyone want to talk to you?" can transform even the most casual social interaction into a gauntlet of self-doubt. It's not that others are unkind. It's that you've become your own harshest judge, seeing judgment and rejection where none might exist. When self-esteem is low, even the thought of socializing can feel overwhelming. You replay past interactions on a relentless loop, dissecting every detail. Did I say the wrong thing? Did they notice I was nervous? Was my laugh too loud or too awkward? Every word, every facial expression becomes evidence to support your inner critic's case against you. It's exhausting. Over time, this hyper-analysis erodes your confidence, making even small social efforts feel like stepping onto a stage completely unprepared, exposed to an audience that you're certain is scrutinizing your every move. This cycle can be paralyzing. The more you hesitate to engage, the more isolated you feel. And the more isolated you feel, the harder it becomes to break out of your shell. It's a self-perpetuating loop, where avoiding social situations might feel like self-preservation, but it actually deepens the sense of disconnection. The longer this cycle continues, the louder that inner critic becomes, until it feels like its voice is the only one you can hear. But here's the truth. That voice in your head isn't you. It's not an accurate reflection of who you are or how others see you. It's a story you've absorbed over time, perhaps from past experiences, critical feedback, or comparisons to others, that has no bearing on your worth. And here's another truth. Most people aren't nearly as judgmental as your inner critic would have you believe. They're often far too wrapped up in their own concerns and insecurities to fixate on yours. Breaking free from this cycle begins with recognizing that your inner critic is not a reliable narrator. It lies, exaggerates, and distorts reality. While it might feel like it's protecting you, it's actually holding you back from experiencing genuine connection and joy. The next time it starts whispering its doubts, pause and question it. Is this true? What evidence do I really have? More often than not, you'll find that the criticisms are baseless assumptions rather than facts. Another powerful step is to shift your focus outward during social interactions. Instead of worrying about how you're being perceived, direct your energy toward others. Be curious, ask questions, listen with intent. By doing this, you take the spotlight off yourself and engage in a way that feels more natural and less performative. This not only eases your anxiety, but also builds authentic connections, which can, over time, challenge the narrative of your inner critic. It's also important to practice self-compassion. You wouldn't berate a friend for feeling nervous or stumbling over their words, so why do it to yourself? Treat yourself with the same kindness and patience you'd offer someone else. Remind yourself that nobody is perfect, and nobody expects you to be. Socializing isn't about delivering a flawless performance. It's about being present and genuine, imperfections and all. If the fear of judgment feels overwhelming, start small. Choose low-pressure environments where you feel comfortable, or spend time with people you trust. Each positive interaction, no matter how small, serves as a counter-argument to the story your inner critic is telling. With time and practice, these moments add up, gradually shifting your perception of yourself and your social abilities. Ultimately, the goal isn't to silence your inner critic entirely. That voice might never go away, but to stop letting it control you. You are more than the doubts it feeds you. You are capable, worthy, and deserving of connection. Remember, most people aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for authenticity. And the more you embrace who you truly are, the quieter that inner critic will become. Social anxiety isn't mere shyness. It's an intense, often invisible struggle that can feel all-consuming. It's like being caught in a relentless storm of fear and self-doubt, where every social interaction becomes a high-stakes game. Your mind is constantly churning, throwing worst-case scenarios at you faster than you can process them. What if I say the wrong thing? What if they notice I'm nervous? What if I embarrass myself? Even the most mundane exchanges can feel like walking a tightrope, with your every word and action scrutinized, not by others but by yourself. Even in familiar, friendly settings, the anxiety doesn't loosen its grip. While others seem to glide through conversations effortlessly, you're hyper-aware of everything. Your tone of voice, your hand movements, even the way you're standing. Each pause in conversation feels like a spotlight shining on your perceived awkwardness. And when the gathering ends, relief doesn't follow. Instead, your mind replays the evening on a cruel loop. Did I talk too much? Was that joke offensive? Did they think I was boring? What should be a moment of rest becomes another round of self-doubt and over-analysis. Social anxiety often takes root in past experiences, moments of rejection, ridicule, or even subtle criticisms that left deep marks. Maybe you were teased for saying the wrong thing as a child, or perhaps you felt out of place in a group that seemed to bond effortlessly while you struggled to find your footing. Over time, these moments compound, teaching your brain to associate socializing with risk, judgment, and potential harm. This fear creates a paradox. The more you avoid social situations to protect yourself, the more intimidating they become. Each skipped event reinforces the idea that socializing is a threat, making the next opportunity even harder to face. It's a vicious cycle, leaving you feeling increasingly isolated. The irony is heartbreaking. Your anxiety pushes you to avoid the very thing you crave: connection and understanding. But while social anxiety can feel like an unshakable shadow, there is hope. It's not about waking up one day and suddenly being free of it. It's about learning to manage it, one small step at a time. The first step is recognizing that social anxiety doesn't define you. It's a response, a learned pattern your brain developed to protect you. But just as it was learned, it can be unlearned. Start by practicing self-compassion. That inner voice that criticizes every misstep, it's not helping, it's hurting. Instead of berating yourself for feeling anxious, try acknowledging it without judgment. It's okay to feel this way. This is hard, but I'm trying. Shifting your internal dialogue from criticism to kindness can make a world of difference. Small, deliberate actions can also help loosen anxiety's grip. Challenge yourself to engage in low-pressure social settings. Start with something manageable, like a brief conversation with a coworker or a casual coffee date with a trusted friend. These interactions build confidence over time, proving to your brain that socializing doesn't have to end in disaster. Seeking support is another powerful step. This could mean talking to a therapist who specializes in anxiety, joining a supportive community where others share similar struggles, or even confiding in a trusted friend or family member. Simply sharing your experience can lift some of the weight and remind you that you're not alone in this battle. Mindfulness and grounding techniques can also be incredibly effective. When anxiety spikes in social settings, grounding exercises, like focusing on your breath, feeling your feet on the ground, or mentally naming objects around you, can help bring you back to the present moment. These tools won't erase your anxiety, but they can make it more manageable at helping you navigate interactions with greater ease. Most importantly, remember that overcoming social anxiety is a journey, not a race. There will be setbacks, and that's okay. Each step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Over time, you'll begin to see that the world isn't as judgmental as your anxiety tells you it is. People are often more focused on their own worries than on dissecting your every move. Social anxiety doesn't have to dictate your life. With patience, self-compassion, and intentional effort, you can start to reclaim your sense of connection and belonging. You're stronger than you think, and the effort is worth it, not just for the relationships you'll build, but for the freedom you'll feel within yourself. Your preference for solitude isn't a flaw. It reflects your unique needs and experiences. Whether you're an introvert seeking meaningful connections, someone protecting their heart, or dealing with self-doubt, your reasons for stepping back are valid. Recognizing when to retreat is a sign of self-awareness, not weakness. But life thrives on balance. Solitude nurtures creativity, introspection, and peace, while connection brings growth, joy, and a sense of belonging. Both are essential, but the key is to engage on your terms. It's not about forcing yourself into draining situations, but finding the people and spaces that align with your values and energy. When others misunderstand your need for solitude, remind yourself, choosing to retreat isn't avoidance, it's self-respect. In a world that glorifies constant engagement, prioritizing your well-being is an act of quiet courage. By honoring yourself, you create space for authentic connections and a more fulfilling life. And that's worth celebrating. If this resonates with you, please like and subscribe to Daily Stoic Practice and share your insights in the comments. Your thoughts may inspire others on their own journeys to inner peace and resilience. Don't miss our daily videos, insightful discussions, and practical tips for applying Stoic principles to your modern life.